This MMA content is proudly brought to you by the AllStar app, a fully customizable ad-free sports experience. Download it now.
How did you end up signing with Rizin? Tell us the story.
Yeah, so how did I sign with Rizin? Well, I'm not sure if you know too much about my background, but I've been trying to compete for Rizin even before I was in the UFC. So something I've always wanted to be a part of. I fell in love with Pride when I was 15, and like I said, I've been trying to go with Rizin even before I was in the UFC, and thankfully, well, not thankfully, but after the UFC released me, I was obviously a free agent. Unfortunately, the Corona pandemic happened, and I haven't been able to come over here until now. So finally, I'm here. So it's very amazing.
Yeah, of course. Incredible. 15-year-old Spike. Who was
Yes.
your favorite fighter in Pride?
Oh man, that's a tough question. There was a few. I would say my number one ultimate favorite fighter was Fedor Emelianenko. The last emperor. He's amazing. So that was one of my favorites. I also loved Rampage Jackson. He was always fun to watch. Yeah, so I would say those two really stood out for me. And then I was a fan back then when I was a little punk, but not as much anymore. But Nick and Nate Diaz were also some of my favorites. And I know Nick fought for Pride in I think it was, not sure if it was Shockwave, but in the U.S. So yeah. So
after your release from the UFC, right back in 2020, you fought for a bunch of promotions, right? You're just trying to find your place, but you went into every fight and performed really well. You know, either you finished the guy early, and that last fight for Bellator, man, that was like fight of the year contender or comeback of the year contender. Take us back to that fight and just explain like what's going on from the round 1 to round 3.
Yeah, so that was thank God I won that fight. It was not a pretty fight. It was not the kind of fight I want to go out there and do. It was a short notice fight, and I had some complications that fight day, like to the point that I almost didn't want to. I didn't even really want to walk out and compete. But obviously, once I was I didn't start feeling good till I was about to walk out. I was like, all right, now I'm having a good time. But it was definitely a rougher fight than what I ideally hoped for. And I think I regressed a little bit as a martial artist or as a fighter. I kind of just went balls to the wall and just tried to kill Dan Moret with every punch I had. So it was not the most tactical, calm mentality that I was adapting earlier, where I've had so much success. So, but I'm just grateful that I was blessed with the victory.
You know, with Rizin, was somebody from Rizin at that show? Did you get to meet somebody from Rizin?
Yeah. I
And
met,
did you talk to them?
Yeah. So even before I was on that Bellator card, I was in talks with Rizin. I was hoping to compete for their New Year's show, but obviously, you know, everything closed down and I wasn't able to. But even before I competed on that Bellator event, I was already in talks with them.
All right. And they got you matched up with Koji
Yes.
Takeda. When you heard the name, did you know exactly who that was?
I was not familiar with him. No. So I didn't know who he was, but I'm very familiar with him now.
And what do you think about him? You know, I mean, his record in Rizin is pretty damn good. You know, he has faced some really good competition. What do you see him as a fighter?
Yeah, so I know he's 5'7", southpaw wrestler, more of a upper body kind of guy. I've competed against similar opponents like this, especially I would say one off the top of my head that was very similar to his style was my first fight out of the UFC. I fought for LFA. I was against the Mongolian Falcon. He was 5'9", southpaw, more of an upper body type wrestler. So I don't think Koji has anything I haven't seen before. And I think I match up very well with his style. So I'm excited to go out there and do what I do best.
What did you think about his last fight against Noah? Did
Yeah,
you
so
feel
I
like?
thought he obviously was victorious, and but to be honest, I don't think Noah belonged in there with him. For his only his I think it was his third MMA fight. I know he has an extensive kickboxing history, but I don't think he should have been matched up with a grappler specialist of that caliber. With now he has 15 MMA pro fights. So I just think it was kind of a mismatch, to be honest.
And when you look at the division, right?
Hmm.
The division, the lightweight division, how exciting is it for you to jump in there with some of these guys, man, like Yachi
Hmm.
and a few others?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Keeps me up at night sometimes thinking about
Hmm.
all these potential matchups and fighters I have the opportunity to compete with in the future. It's an exciting division, and now that I used to compete at 145 when I was in the UFC. Thankfully, now I'm at 155, and I've never lost a fight at 155 and above, and it's gonna stay that way. So it feels good.
When you were at 145,
Mhm.
did you feel like the diminishing in return, like the sacrifice you make to make 145, it
Mhm.
wasn't just the return wasn't there?
Yes, I definitely. Hindsight's always 2020,
Mm.
but I think with my body type style, I could make the weight, but I wasn't able to perform like I know I could perform.
Mm.
It was tough, and not to make excuses or anything, but like my last fight in the UFC was at 145, and I ended up getting a staph infection like after the weigh-ins, and probably shouldn't have competed that day. I didn't tell anyone, but that's we're fighters, and we just want to, no matter
Mhm.
what, we're gonna try it. We'll go. It doesn't matter if all the odds are stacked against us. We need to
Yeah.
have a victorious type of mentality.
Yeah, definitely. And also, you need to get paid too. If you don't fight,
Mhm.
you don't get paid, right?
Yeah,
So, that's
yeah.
that's another factor that, is
Mhm.
entwined with competing. And training camp, where'd you end
Yes.
up doing your training camp for this fight?
This fight was in my training camp was in Southern California, primarily Orange County at King's MMA Anaheim in the training lab. I've been at the training lab in King's MMA Anaheim for since 2019. I think I moved to 2008. Yeah, 2018, 2019. I moved
Mhm.
up to Orange County. I used to live in San Diego. So I had a phenomenal training camp under Mark Munoz, under Benil Dariush, and one of my old training partners and friend I've known since high school actually moved up the last like 5-6 weeks to be with me, and he's out here cornering me, John Kim. So we're all set. We're all ready to rock.
John Kim, the Twin
Mhm.
Dragons?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was in your corner the last time, right? A few times.
His brother Josh Kim was in my corner last time.
Oh, his
So
brother. Yeah, they're
yeah,
twins. It's hard to tell which was which,
yeah,
man. But
yeah. They're
yeah,
almost identical, and don't worry,
yeah.
you're not the only one to get them
Yeah,
confused.
and Asians all look the same. I'm just
Yeah,
saying. You know what
he said it,
I
not
mean?
me.
Exactly. Those Twin Dragons, man. Those guys. You've been
Mhm.
training with them for a while. They're probably killers in the waiting, right? They probably give you good rounds all the time.
Man, those guys used to whoop my booty. I've known them since, like I said, I was 17 years old.
Mhm.
We were trained a little bit, but I joined their gym when I was 20, and honestly, they are some of the most technical martial artists I've ever come across, and have a elite level, world class, universal skill set.
Yeah. Well, if Rizin's watching this, they should sign the Twin Dragons, both of
Oh
them.
yeah,
Sign
yeah.
those guys.
Unfortunately, they don't have it. Like my buddy John, he's taken a little longer than it should have. He only has one pro fight,
Mhm.
but obviously his amateur record, he's 15-1. And then Josh fought for LFA a couple weeks ago. He had a controversial
Yeah.
disqualification loss, but he's
Yeah.
4-1 as a professional. So yeah, but they're definitely
Mhm.
I could think I say they could be anyone in the world if
Mhm.
they really put it all in there.
Mark Munoz and
Mhm.
Benil Dariush. Mark Munoz, man, he's such an
Mhm.
incredible guy. I
Yeah.
interviewed him about a year ago. I think ahead
Mhm.
of the movie that he made. He made a movie,
Oh, the
and
Olympia movie.
yeah,
Yes.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, he's such a great guy, man. He's one of the greatest guys like I've ever like come across in this sport. And then
Mhm.
you have
Amen.
Benil. Unfortunate that he broke his ankle, I believe. in that
Fibula.
camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, fibula. Yeah. But those are some great minds, man, that you could pick at. And
Yeah.
how beneficial has it been for you to just be working with just those two guys?
Yeah, well, like you said, Mark and Benny too, man. They are some of the most amazing, God-fearing men I know. I love those guys, and they're definitely role models to me. And they're incredible badasses too. You know what I mean? So, obviously, Mark had an amazing UFC career, and Benny, I believe, will be world champion by the end of this year, no doubt about it. So, it's phenomenal. I'm working with two, some of the best guys in the world. So I've always been blessed my whole life to have some of the best instructors. So very grateful to be with them.
Well, you've had around 5 months, right, between your last fight and this one.
Mm-hmm.
Before you get into a training camp, did you decide to work on certain things, before you head into the camp where you can sharpen it up? What were some of the things that you worked on?
Yeah. So I've had a bit of some bumps and bruises here and there, some minor injuries that I had to work through. But I do pride myself on always staying in the gym, always improving. So I've picked up, I've sharpened some things. I've added a few tools to the arsenal, and definitely can't wait to show them off. Both in the striking and grappling department that I look forward to. I don't like to divulge this information because I want my opponent to not know what's going to come, but we're definitely got some fun stuff for this one.
How do you feel about you have kind of this cult following, that online and around the world. How do you feel about having that following?
Oh, man, it's an amazing thing that people enjoy my showings, my personality, and like me. So it's beautiful. I love it. So yeah, glory to God.
yeah. Alpha Ginger, man. No one could ever have that name. You're the only one. No one could ever have that name after that.
They can try, but they gotta they'll die.
Yeah. You're the original, man. Now, what type of performance do you want to have in front of that Japanese crowd against Takeda, who is a champion in another organization in Japan? It's a huge win, man. It kind of propels you like right into the mix.
Yeah, obviously, I want a spectacular outing from the moment my music starts till the ref waves me off to my post-fight interview speech. I just want it to be a spectacular display of entertainment. So I think it will be, God willing.
Are you waiting for that like moment, when you walk out? Because the walkouts are something that they pride themselves on, right? Rizin does.
Yes.
Do you have anything special?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you do?
Obviously,
Okay.
in the UFC, I wasn't able to walk out the way I wanted to. They were pretty strict on the uniforms and all that. But every fight I've had, even since I was an amateur, I've always walked out as a different character, and it's been really fun. And it's something I love to do. So, like I said, I've been dreaming about Japan since I was 15. So I was like, I can't wait to do walkouts anyway. So I've been anticipating and planning for this for quite some time.
Well, do you also have kind of like that deal, like where you can go fight for Bellator if you really wanted to?
Yeah, so technically I'm signed to both organizations right now. It really worked out favorably for me. So I have a multi-fight deal with Bellator as well. So the plan right now is obviously we're focused on this April 17th. We're going to whoop on Koji, and then hope maybe my next fight will be Bellator, then back to Japan, and then back to Bellator, and we'll just see how everything goes.
I love that they're doing this because it gives you like options,
Yes.
It's not like you're just stuck in a carousel with one organization. You actually can just hop over and be like, hey, Rizin, you got any matchups for me?
Yeah.
Let me get in there real fast, man. It's great to see, man, that the sport is moving along in this direction.
Yeah.
Where you have options like that. Did you even think that this was a possibility when you left the UFC?
Yeah, I did, because I knew that I saw, I think it was Caldwell and Horiguchi were one of the first pair to do it, where they, they had the co-promotion. They let, I think Caldwell came over first and fought Horiguchi in Japan. Then Horiguchi went to Bellator. So I saw that. I was like, man, that's That's right up my alley. That's what it could be. I want to be the Rizin world champion and the Bellator world champion, and whoop anyone else in that way. So yeah, I love it. I think it's an amazing thing, and like you said, it's great for the fighters and it's great for the fans. You know, how often do you see you never see it in two different promotions having the best compete against each other and settle that question of who would win. So special.
Yeah, it is special, man. April 17th, Rizin 35.
Yes.
You're back in action. It's
Yes,
going to be an incredible fight. All the best.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, John. Thank you, sir.